There are a lot of interesting, beautiful, disgusting, unique, fun, and notorious places in New Orleans. But today we're going to talk about some spooky places and history behind them. New Orleans has its magical, supernatural, famous voodoo side, and Marie Laveau is the most famous voodoo queen. It is believed that she was born in French Quarter in 1801. She owned the hair salon and was a pretty successful businesswoman. Among the locals, rumors began to spread that the owner of well-known salon can get a healing potion or charm that will protect against evil. Marie Laveau's amulets were called gris-gris, and there were two types. The first one are absolutely harmless, which brought happiness to the owner, protect the family heart, and bring good luck. Other possess dark power and contain inside small bones of people and animals, and also grave dust. When you pass by this pretty little house, you would not notice anything unusual, but it's said that around 1875, Marie Laveau stayed almost exclusively in this home, where she died 6 years later. She also becomes a frequent guest of festivals and celebrations in Congo Square on North Rampant Street on Sundays, when square was turned into a market and main meeting place for voodoo worship and ritual. Enslaved people would participate in a market to gain personal money. It was in this meeting place where Africans and Afro-Creole began to dance and perform their African culture. Marie Laveau sold small amulets, gave advices to representatives of black community.
I drew fast, but he drew first, had to make me bleed. The quench thirst away. Now
You can find Marie Laveau tomb on St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 on Basin Street. It is the oldest existing cemetery in New Orleans. Cemetery closed for public, but you can visit it on a tour. It costs $15. Tour booking office located right in front of the cemetery.
You will never see the likes of me again. Though I may have saved you once or twice, you never made me a hero, my friend. With my final breath I repair, and hope to be forgiven for my sins. After all,
Original name of Our Lady Guadalupe Church is Old Mortuary Chapel, and as the name suggests, its purpose was to act as a funeral church and serve as a second chapel for ever-increasing victims of deadly yellow fever. The church was even positioned right in front of the St. Louis Cemetery to allow easy access to burials and mass graves. Statue of the saint exhibit often visited by Catholics and practitioners of voodoo to pray for matters that require urgencies. Originally known as the Mortuary Chapel of St. Anthony of Padua, it became the official place for the dead to be presented before entering the afterlife in New Orleans, and undoubtedly haunted by one of the many souls who have passed through its doors.
they will never see the likes of us again. Though we may have saved a life or two, it never made us heroes, my friend. With our final breath we repair, hope to be forgiven for our sins. After all, we were two monsters, dead sent to the dead.
Lafitte blacksmith shop located on the corner of Bourbon Street and St. Philip Street. It is one of the oldest still operating buildings in New Orleans. The building was used at some point as a base for smuggling operation run by infamous pirate Jean Lafitte and his brother Pierre. Legend says that it's haunted by Jean Lafitte himself. He has never said word to anyone. He simply stands in a dark corner in his pirate gear, staring at people until he is noticed, and then his ghost disappears into the shadow. About the voodoo daiquiri and looked at the dark corner for good 20 minutes, but I did not see anything. I might need to try it next time after 3 or 4 drinks. Also, there's probably another ghost of lady who used to kill herself long time ago on a second floor. The New Orleans Pharmacy Museum is one of America's first licensed pharmacies. The museum has a range of exhibits of medicine and apothecary from 1800s onward. Being such an old building in New Orleans, there are numerous ghost stories associated with the museum. Some believe that Dr. Dupas, a former owner of the pharmacy, haunted the building after dark. It's rumored that he conducted unthinkable experiments on pregnant slaves before his death. The ghost of Dr. Dupas, dressed in the clothes he normally wore, a brown suit and matching brown hat. He looks like a middle-aged man with the mustache. The ghost of Dr. Dupas is said to be responsible for wreaking havoc in the museum after it's closed for the night. Staff says that he is the one that triggers the security alarm in the middle of the night. His spirit is also charged with throwing books on the floor and moving displays around. Some people also report seeing the spirits of two children, a boy and a girl. They are said to wander in the museum as well as adjoining courtyard. The theory is these two children are the son and the daughter of the original pharmacist Louis Cathedral Jr. One of the most talked about vampire stories is the legend of the Casket girls and the Ursuline convent. France used to send to the colony marriageable young women. The girls were brought to the Ursuline convent to live among the nuns until they were married. When the girls arrived, they each brought with them one wooden chest shaped like a coffin, which held their clothes, linens, and sometimes a bridal gown. Legend said that caskets were used to smuggle vampires. To be honest, one of my favorite vampire spots is Vampire Cafe on Royal Street. They have delicious blood bags and tasty food.
Medium rare.
Pretty damn good burger.
By the way, some other legends said that casket girls themselves were vampires. When they arrived, they usually was really pale after 6 months in the sea, and some of them coughed blood because of tuberculosis. That's what explained vampire connection. On the Royal Street, you can also find Lalaurie Mansion. Delphine Lalaurie was a wealthy New Orleans socialite and notorious enslaver. On April 10, 1834, a fire broke out in her house. Firefighters discovered 7 slaves, more or less horribly mutilated, locked inside the building. Madame Lalaurie already was investigated in 1828 for cruelty toward enslaved people. As news of Lalaurie horrible crime surfaced, neighbors became engaged and a crowd of 4,000 people ransacked the mansion and destroyed what was left. Lalaurie ran away to France and later died in Paris, but it is legend said that her body was brought back to New Orleans and buried in St. Louis Cemetery. One of the most impressive buildings in New Orleans French Quarter is St. Louis Cathedral. Prior to the newest construction, the cathedral itself was used to bury some of New Orleans' most respected citizens and members of the church. So today, when you visit St. Louis Cathedral, you walk in right over one of the New Orleans' earliest cemeteries. The most famous ghost associated with St. Louis Cathedral is that of Pere Anthony. He was well liked by all the New Orleans and was laid to rest here 3 days after his death. Commonly, the ghost of Pere Anthony is seen near the altar or on the balconies. Another local ghost is Pere Dagobert, who became pastor in St. Louis Cathedral in 1745. On quiet evenings after worship, people have seen the ghost of Dagobert walking the aisle of the cathedral with his head down to the ground. In the early days of New Orleans, Jackson Square was location of punishments and executions, so it also have its old dark notorious history. Thank you for watching, hope this video was interesting for you. See you in the next videos.